Books have been one of the biggest factors in helping the growth of my design career. One of these books is actually the reason I got the first interview to the job I have right now. Books really feel like a bit of a cheat code sometimes, as they can really help you level up so quickly when you're stuck somewhere. So in this video, I'm going to go through 7 books that have really helped me in different stages of my design career. And I recommend you give them a look. Hey, if we haven't met, my name's Jono and I'm a full-time UI product designer. Now that I'm a few years into my career and looking back, I've realized I've gone through a couple of different stages, starting as a general graphic designer, and then I got more interested in logo design, and then from that more into the world of branding and brand identity. I freelanced for a while, and then I transitioned more into doing website design, and then I got interested in no-code development, and now I work as a full-time UI product designer and work on design systems. And looking back at all these different stages, I definitely charged into each of them head first and didn't really know everything and had to learn as I went along. And books have always been there to help me along all these different stages. If I got stuck along the way, pick up a quick book, do some learning on my own, and help me level up a little bit. These books aren't going to be the most traditional design books that you've probably been recommended before. They aren't going to be focused on those practical hard skills like typography or layout. I found that you do learn most of that stuff in traditional education. These are more soft skills or supplementary skills that I've found I wasn't taught when I was studying and have actually been needed. And really with these books, they've helped complement my other skills like typography and layout and all those more traditional design skills. And really in total, they've helped round out my skills as a designer as well. So let's get into the list now. The first book I have is Still Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. I found this such a good book when I was a beginner and I was trying to find inspiration and references for work. And I wasn't quite sure where the line was between finding references and inspiration, or was I just copying it or stealing the work. Austin goes through some great points about how nothing is really original and how it is okay to find references and look for inspiration. And the important thing is to draw on multiple places inspiration and references. And when you take it from multiple areas and then you remix it and put it together and put your own spin on it, you're creating something new. You're not just copying or regurgitating stuff you've already seen. So when you take multiple ideas and from multiple places and then you combine them together, and then you actually can create something new and original. You're not just regurgitating the likeness exactly. I really love Austin's books as they're super easy to digest and read. He does a great job of explaining really complex things and breaks them down really simply. I find them so easy to read as they're quite short as well. You can pick them up and read a couple of pages or read a whole paragraph. I love the illustrations in it as well, and just the general layout of the book of there's an illustration and sometimes it's breaking down a complex problem and explaining it, and then on the other side there'll be text reiterating what he's explaining. I find the illustrations really great when he's trying to explain some bigger concepts or get something across. Highly recommend this for any stages of your career. Very much so if you're struggling with finding the line of how do I take reference and inspiration and combine it to make something my own, or if you're struggling to feel like you have your own ideas or creating original work. Next up we have The Brand Gap by Marty Neumeier. This was a book I read earlier in my design journey when I was a graphic designer, but I was really interested in trying to learn more about branding in that side of the design world. At the beginning, I didn't really fully understand the value of my work or how it contributed to the client. It really helped bridge the gap in my mind of design being purely just about visuals and how it looks, and that you use design to solve problems for clients. It really was a starting point and opened me up to a lot more research and needing to understand about how strategy and design work together, and got me really interested in brand strategy. This book also helped me understand more about what branding actually is. As early on, I only thought that a brand was just the logo. You know, you design a logo for a client and that's their brand. Marty does a really good job of explaining that a brand is so much more than just that one logo. He really dives in and explains quite in depth of what a brand actually is and gives tips on effectively how to build a brand. I use this and it helped me aiding businesses building brands, and when I could offer solutions further than just graphic design, I felt much more comfortable and confident in meetings talking to brands how I could help them with my services. He does a really good job in this book as well of breaking down complex things and making them really simple and easy to digest. I really recommend this book to you if you're interested in design or strategy and you don't really know how those two connect in a business. This is a great book to help you understand and learn that. Next up we have Start With Why by Simon Sinek. This next book was helpful that I was at a stage in my design career now that I kind of did understand a bit more that design was helping clients. It was helpful because at the time I was designing websites for small businesses, and it really gave me the ability to assist these businesses in how they actually should present themselves online and how they should present their offerings. As at this stage I was transitioning more into web design for small businesses, and I was helping clients communicate that online. And because now I knew I wasn't just creating visually appealing websites, but I was also creating websites that was showcasing the client and the brand and how their solution actually helped their customers. The big idea in this book is Simon discusses how it's really important to find the why. And once you find the why, that helps you to explain the how and the what. This book draws on examples from various industries and successful leaders to illustrate the power of starting with a sense of purpose that becomes the why. It does become a little bit repetitive at times as he really drills the point home, but you won't forget the main concept as you go through it because you go over it a couple times. He really goes through it for the how and the what. It doesn't actually really matter what you do, but to help businesses, and if you're a higher up or if you're trying to communicate your offering, it's more important the why, and that's the core. And then from the core, you find the other things, and it makes everything easier to explain. Next up, we have Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. This book helped me at the stage in my career when I was freelancing a lot. And as I said before, I kind of dive into things head first and then work it out afterwards. So I had all the practical tools on. I knew how to design things, but I don't really know how to convey that to businesses or really show online what I was doing. And I found that I was struggling at bridging the gap between my skills and then marketing myself online to people, of actually conveying what I did. I was kind of struggling at defining what my business was, but also struggling at the side of how my business helped people as well. And I think the thing that really resonates with me with this book and what I found it useful in my career is that design was kind of the fun side, and then the marketing and sales, that was kind of the ick side of it. He really helped shift my view of it, as he uses a lot of examples revolving around movies. And he helped me change that idea in my mind of sales and marketing being ick to it's actually an engaging process that is important to have when running a business. And from that, it helped not just when I was running my business, but when I was doing work for other people's businesses as well, that I could help communicate their business for their customers as well. And this framework is great because you really can plug in any business to it and then help simplify it and explain it easier. This is one of the newest books I picked up, The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. I picked it up last year and I've recommended it to multiple people already. While reading it, I've had countless points where I'm like, oh damn, that's me. I've had that exact thing happen to me, or I've had that train of thought before. At this point in my design career, and I'm kind of bridging out a little bit, like creating this YouTube channel or working on some bigger personal projects. And I've had this urge sometimes to create something that's uniquely me, but that's just bigger than the practical solving with design, and actually think more about what creativity and how do I get creative in wanting to create something different. I just said create a lot of times. And I found this book super helpful in that regard of creativity. Rick Rubin is a well-known music producer, and in this book, he shares different thoughts and ideas and experiences of being creative in unique forms. It's not your typical chapter book, it's much more free-flowing than that. It kind of, each chapter is just a thought he has. Sometimes it's multiple pages, sometimes it's just a page to get it across. I really like this free form. It really breaks it up a lot and kind of resonates with me of sometimes things are messy or thoughts can be messy and it takes a few pages to explain it. And it really does feel uniquely like Rick Rubin. It doesn't really feel like a book that I've read from anyone else, which I find interesting as I try to tap into what is uniquely me. How do I portray myself? How do I use my creativity on this YouTube channel as an example to get myself across? This book isn't just a feel-good read though about thoughts and ideas. It's a really practical toolkit that kind of helps you navigate the world of when a project is messy. And if you've worked on projects, you know that design projects do get messy quite often. I find Rick Rubin's insights on embracing messiness, silencing self-doubt, and tapping into your creative core really interesting, and I found it helpful and practical and really actionable in day-to-day life with some of these things. Like his talk about creativity and following thoughts, I found helpful when I was at a stage at a project right at the start and I was struggling to find creativity, and he has different ideas about this. I found it really helpful as he talks about overcoming creative block and how you can kind of turn these creative blocks into breakthroughs, and how you should embrace imperfections, and doing that actually helps you create work that's uniquely you, and they'll actually feel more authentic when you're presenting the work or doing the work because it is authentic and uniquely you. Next up, we have How to Win Friends and Influence People. I never really liked the name of this book. I almost didn't buy it at the start, but after I read a couple of reviews, I did buy it, and it is a really good book. As you kind of see with a few of these books, it's not really about the hard skills, but it's about kind of those soft skills that help you in your design journey. One thing that I think is sometimes overlooked in traditional design education is the importance of communication. Beyond the technical side of the pixel pushing and understanding the tools and understanding the concepts of design, they're really always nailed in design courses and education. One of the things I think is overlooked is effective communication. How do you actually communicate? How do you work with a team? How do you work with clients? How do you have discussions about the design? This is especially important, as you'll find you'll run into situations when you disagree with people. How do you actually have those conversations and come to a good solution that everyone's happy or not happy with? While I find design courses are great at the hard skills, the designing, the using the software, there's a whole realm of once you actually start working on projects, either as a freelancer or in big teams, that you need soft skills and you need these communication skills. For example, you create a design, now you actually have to present it to the client and communicate to them what the benefits of your design are or why you made these choices. Then if you work on larger projects, you have to communicate within teams and resolve issues that you're running into. I found this even more needed now that I'm working on projects that have stakeholders involved or multiple teams that have to cross-communicate. And when there's just more views and opinions and the design gets kicked around a bit more, how do you actually communicate your design better? In Dale's book, he goes over some pretty timeless examples of effective communication, relationship building, and interpersonal skills. As I've said multiple times now, I really love books that have practical examples, which this one has a heap of. Pretty much every chapter and section of it has practical examples of how you actually should use this in your day-to-day life, which I found really helpful. Next up, we have Austin Kleon again with Show Your Work. Now, this is the book that actually helped me get the full-time job that I have right now as a UI product designer. Show Your Work, as you might have guessed, talks about how it's important to show and share your work as a creative. It helped me to change my mindset on, I used to think that you would work on a piece of design work, like a logo on a website design, and the only thing you would share on socials or anywhere or in your portfolio was that finished piece, that finished logo design or that finished website. So you would have 1, 2 maybe pieces that you could show. This book opened my eyes and really helped me to understand that sharing your work at every part of the creative journey is important and helpful. So not just showing finished work, but showing anything from early sketches to looking for inspiration to a tiny little note that you've written that is important in the journey. He also talks about being transparent and how it's good to share your ideas and share the secret sauce of how you actually do things. It's actually one of the reasons that I started this YouTube channel, was to be transparent and show how I do work. And he really challenges that idea of keeping everything secret and, you know, if I show something, maybe they'll take it. But instead, you show everything and you put everything out there and be transparent, and that makes people find you more relatable or start looking to you as someone with authority, because you can actually explain it and show it to people. And then you're probably wondering how this book actually helped me get the job that I have right now. So at the time, I was sharing a lot of my work on Behance and Instagram. I was sharing all these different things. I was recording videos on how I did work and explaining different processes that I was working on. And someone in the agency who was looking for a new designer actually came across one of the things I shared and then saw my Instagram videos and saw my Behance work. And it was enough that he had seen it that he actually reached out to me and emailed me out of the blue asking if I'd be interested in looking at a position they had. And now I've been at that agency for 2 years now. This would have actually never happened if I didn't share my work, if I didn't put things out there into the world in Behance, on Instagram, or wherever people share things, Dribbble or Twitter. He would have never actually come across it, and I would have never got into this job that I have right now. So I'm a really big advocate for this book. I recommend this to all designers, and I've given it to people to borrow multiple times, and I read it kind of once every few years because I think it actually is really helpful. It helps you grow as a designer, putting stuff out there. It makes you less nervous as well. Sometimes you feel a bit self-conscious about sharing your work. You actually just put it out there, and it's not the end of the world to share something you've been working on. And really it has helped my career so much. I would have never got this job if I hadn't shared my work. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you found this helpful, and maybe one of these books is your next read and it'll help you level up in your design career. If you do pick one of them up, let me know. Come back and make a comment about it. Or feel free to make a comment about a book that you've read that you think I should check out next. And while you're here, check out another video.